We will talk about how to mimic human metabolism in mice.
For example, neurons, glia.
Let's talk pharmacokinetics for antibody development.
Following the transplantation of hematopoietic cells.
Let's talk how to test if your drug induces a cytokine storm.
Welcome to JAX Tech Talk with the technical information scientists of the Jackson Laboratory.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the JAX Tech Talk with the technical information scientists of the Jackson Laboratory. My name is Xintang Liu, and I'm currently a business consultant with the advisory and consulting services team. But today, I'm also serving as a moderator for today's KTP show. So for anyone watching live, please use the comments section of the video to tell us where you are viewing from and any related questions you may have with us. And we'll try to answer those live. And for today, let's talk about JAX consulting and advisory services. And today, I will be interviewing my colleagues, Jim and Joe. And first of all, can I have both of you to introduce yourself to our audience? And maybe we can start with Jim.
Sure. I'm Jim Hall. I'm the head of the advisory and consulting services team. My background is in pharmaceutical and biotech and consulting for about the last 25 years. And I focus almost exclusively on pharmaceutical and biotech development.
Okay. What about you, Joe?
Hi, I'm Joe Combs. I'm the manager of advisory services. I'm a PhD with a background in basic research in virology, oncology, and metabolism, and I've been with the Jackson Lab for over a year and bring my project management experience to the team.
Great. So my first question would be why JAX has formed this consulting and advisory services, and what is Jackson Lab's advantage? I know that you have prepared a short and sweet presentation for this show, so why not just start to sharing the presentation slides?
Very good. Yeah, I think it's important to know that, JAX has been around for 90 years. We have hundreds of experts. And what we were trying to respond was a need that we saw in the market for advice in consulting. Many of our clients asked us to help out on different issues around preclinical research, around research operations, and then preclinical performance. In particular, the integration of the vivarium in research, vivarium flow, and a lot of issues around the operations part of it. And we thought that we could leverage our subject matter experts as well as provide the kind of advice that would be very beneficial to our clients. And our goal really is to assist our clients in strategic issues they have that comes up in preclinical development.
I see.
And when we looked at some of the issues that our clients were talking to us about, there are a number of factors, especially the last couple of years, that are affecting the performance of vivarium in preclinical research. Certainly on the external, in the last 2 years, as everybody knows, COVID-19 and the impact that's had on remote employment, as well as just employment in general. Funding, which has been a bit more constrained in the last couple of years, and a lot of the changing regulatory environment. Now, on the internal side, certainly you have the impact of COVID, but you have budget constraints, a lot of capacity issues in terms of throughput and utilization, and then personnel, both trying to retain and train personnel, as you expand your operations.
Right. So what are the consulting areas, or what type of questions or problem we see the JAX advisory and consulting services can help with?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it really breaks down a little differently for academic research versus pharma and biotech research. On the pharma biotech side, there's a lot of issues around capital investment. Oftentimes you have multi-campus integration issues in terms of what labs and what areas of focus. And increasingly, small biotechs are trying to figure out how to outsource services, everything from preclinical and in vivo all the way through to development. On the academic side, it's really more about portfolio because you have a lot of sponsored research and grant work. So it's really trying to understand how to manage that portfolio appropriately. A lot of process flow. You tend to have some older vivarium operations on academic institutions. So trying to stay updated and really get the most out of your process. And then utilizing staff. There's a lot of rotation of staff, certainly on the academic side, more so than on pharma biotech. But then both, institutions, both commercial and research, are really trying to understand how to improve their outcomes. Data analytics, program managing very complex laboratory environments and research programs. And then probably in the basic of all of that is what's the right protocol design, and we get asked that quite a bit also.
Right.
So one of the things we try to do is provide the services to help our clients in meeting some of those challenges and issues. Everything from colony management, meaning, how many mice should we have? How do we breed? What are the right breeding characteristics? How do we improve utilization and reduce discard? Research integration, trying to make sure that we integrate and harmonize between the vivarium staff and the research staff. The preclinical design itself, really with an eye towards how do we file an IND, and certainly in biotech and pharma, how do we support research programs to develop products on the academic side. Hiring, training, staffing, scheduling, everything that has to do with personnel in terms of the complexity of running, multidiscipline operations. Procedures and practices, SOPs, standard operating procedures, equipment practices, data integration, data research, communication. And then, last but not least is how do we make sure that we have highest quality and the best performance coming out of our research?
Right. That's a variety of areas that we can provide consulting services, the medical personnel, the quality controls, the SOP, the operations on the research side as well. So, Jim, can you actually share with us a few of the examples how actually we helped
Sure.
from previous cases that we have done?
Yeah. I think, on the left-hand side, when you look at it, it was a highly capitalized startup. 6.4 billion is probably more than a startup. So, a small biotech, if you will, very much of a rare disease focus. They purchased a lot of mice from JAX and were really struggling with a couple of things. How to improve their breeding performance and reduce their discard rates. When you think about that number of mice and the number of programs, they had about 100 different research programs going on and about 32 different strains that they were trying to manage. So the first thing we did was try to come in and understand, just the performance in general, what different strains, what the yield was for different strains, how well they were being utilized across different research platforms. And then we worked with them to try to figure out a more of a portfolio approach to try to help the PIs understand literally what was on the shelf and available for them for mice, so that they could reduce their discard rates and try to utilize their mouse more effectively by sharing mice, sharing colonies. And then last but not least, we kind of put in a program management process to be able to integrate across the different breeding streams to provide a lot more communication within the research area itself. On the other side is really a very early stage company. It did their first in vivo, had its very first in vivo experience. They were looking to outsource work that they could do that we could help them with, which we did. So we were involved in the protocol design, the preclinical design and development. We helped them provided oversight for some of the experimentation, the in vivo service part of that. And then also the program management in terms of being able to integrate across the different lab work that was going on. That was really interesting because it was literally a brand new company. It had very good funding, and really its goal was to be a virtual biotech, and we partnered with them to produce that.
Right.
Kind of the more traditional, if those two were somewhat non-traditional and more involved in the research aspects itself, the more traditional was trying to help clients in terms of setting up their vivarium and tune up their vivarium, if you will, in their research. So another early stage company, they were really looking to us to help them design the vivarium itself, really understand the best way to develop and have a vivarium flow, what kind of equipment did they need for the kind of experiments they were going to do, the number of mice they were going to house. So that was pretty interesting. That was really almost a clean sheet of paper for a company and helping them develop their vivarium operation, which was really the beginning of their whole research program and their preclinical research. On the other side was an established academic research center, very large one. They actually had multiple research sites and multiple vivariums. They had over 100 principal investigators. And they were really trying to understand how they could improve their throughput in their operations. And we looked at everything from their wash stations to their autoclaves to their process flow to the mice breeding and caging aspects of it, feed, staffing, training. And we really did a lot of work on improving their utilization and their capacity management for their vivarium. And that improved probably by 25 or 30%, by the time we were done. Some of them were very simple things like communicate better, and some of them were a little more complex because they had equipment that wasn't, performing to spec. And we had a couple of our experts, work with the equipment manufacturers to try to improve not only their flow, but the equipment performance itself. And I think those four, show different aspects of the kind of work we do, whether it's, more the scientifically based, which is helping them set up and do the right kind of research, to the operation, the pure operations side of it. And that's where the subject matter experts that we have at JAX really come into play, because, we've been doing this for a long time. We're experts at breeding mice. We're experts at caging and housing mice. And so what is really important to understand is that we really understand the operations. But of course, those operations are all about, trying to improve research and get products out the door at the end of the day. So why consulting? Because it's a part of our strategic vision at JAX, of course. Consulting is an ability to help our customers get the access to the business and solutions that they need, whether it's, mice or breeding or in vivo or genotyping or cryogenics. Those are all things that the consulting group has access and can integrate across to provide one-stop shopping. And also it helps us really understand better our clients and our customers, to understand their needs better. And it raises our awareness with our clients in terms of what we can do and what their issues are, so that we can help them, solve good strategic business problems.
Right. Yes, so Joe, do you have any comments?
No, nothing specific. I did want to bring up that what Jim said earlier about the examples that were highlighted there. They are good examples, and they hit really some of the keystone points that we are looking at in advisory. But we certainly will take, and we love looking into questions and projects that are more expansive than that. So these are, again, just examples. We will certainly can handle questions outside of these areas.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, lately, we've been getting from some of our customers some issues around, biosecurity, immunocompromised mice, and how to breed properly, how to set up barriers. We've been also getting a lot of questions about, how do we provide the right kind of data analysis, in our in vivo, and what should we be looking for in terms of results. We kind of getting the output that we should expect. So, depending on whether it's the more science side or the more operations side, the most important thing is feel free to, ask us the question. And sometimes it's a simple answer, and sometimes it's going to, take some effort, which becomes a project where we can work, with our clients on that.
Yeah. So, I mean, thanks, Joe. Thanks, Jim. These are very great examples. This definitely can help our audience understand of the type of questions, consulting areas we can help with. But I do want to get back to most basic questions of how this would work. So let's say if I'm a researcher in a small biotech, and I have a potential consulting project with animal health concern, how do I get in touch with JAX Advisory Consulting Service, and what type of information I may need to prepare if I do want to initiate a project with JAX?
Sure. I mean, I think if you have an existing relationship with JAX, then you probably either have a salesperson or a business development person that either or has called on you, or you may know a scientist that you've worked with within JAX. Certainly that's the first, let them know. They'll get in touch with us, or email me directly, james.hall@jax.org. It's really pretty straightforward. It's or a phone call. We can talk on the phone, and no commitment. I mean, sometimes it's just, look, we're struggling with an issue, and we'll be more than happy to advise. Sometimes it's free advice, and sometimes it's a complex and it becomes a project, but feel free to call.
Right.
In terms of, sorry, Jing-Kong, go ahead. So in terms of the data or the things that you need to prepare to come to us. I honestly, just a question. I don't think that there's anything specific that you need to have available at your fingertips. As long as you have a question, we can set up a short little meeting with you to consult about it and see if that can turn into a bigger project, or if the answers that we give you within that short little meeting are sufficient to meet your needs.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. Yep.
And to add to that, I mean, you can also contact our JAX, the Technical Information Scientist team.
Yep. Very good.
mytech@jax.org. This is always a good resource for scientific questions, or maybe coming to us for consulting type of projects as well.
Yep. Very good. Yep.
Yeah, so I think our time has been limited, and thank you everyone for joining us this week. And the next 2 JAX Tech Talk will be scheduled on April. Following JAX Tech Talk on LinkedIn, so you are notified anytime we have a new episode, or subscribe to our playlist on YouTube. And this is Xintong saying stay healthy, stay safe, and stay excited about research. Bye-bye all.
Thank you much. Take care.